Who is IIHA? Who is the Institute of International Humanitarian Affairs? Well, I think it goes without saying that our world is in the midst of crisis every day. We are facing unsurmountable challenges in our global context, particularly when we think of conflict, displacement, and natural disasters. And there's a huge need for being prepared to ensure food and medicines are readily available, children are returning to schools, how to negotiate with armed groups and governments. And there is an increasing demand for humanitarian professionals to respond to these needs. So the Institute of International Humanitarian Affairs prepares current and future aid workers with the knowledge and skills needed to respond effectively in our changing global climate and context in humanitarian crisis and disaster. And so we accomplish this as an institute by offering courses throughout the world and online by lecture series, seminars, podcasts, webinars, exhibitions, publications. Some of these are short courses, some are semester-long courses. The course that we're going to be going through today is a semester-long course. Some are in person, some are online. Again, the course we're talking about today will be online. Some are synchronous and some are asynchronous. And all of these serve to meet the needs of those seeking skills to respond better to humanitarian emergencies. And just to give you an example of some other upcoming courses that the IIHA offers, in May in Pretoria, we will offer the International Diploma for Humanitarian Assistance. That's coming up, which is also in November in Bangkok. And there will be information sessions, presumably about those as well, if you're interested, and so many others. So make sure that you're on the listserv or you're following the Institute on LinkedIn and other places where you get information to learn about these different course offerings and availabilities. So who's behind all of this? I want to hand it over to Lily to share a little bit about the team behind the Institute.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're really happy that you're interested in the mental health and complex emergencies course through the IIHA at Fordham University. It's such an important course today. I'm going to introduce you to our in-person team. We are based in New York, in the Bronx, where our beautiful Rose Hill campus is. And I'll start from the top. On your left is Brendan Cahill, our executive director of the IIHA. He has been running the Institute for over 26 years now, and has implemented the first of its kind master's degree in international humanitarian action. As Whitney described, he directs our undergraduate and master's degree with Ruth to your right there, and has also implemented so many online courses too, so that our amazing humanitarian courses can be available to everyone around the world. So also working with us is Ruth Mukwana. She is our Helen Hamlin Senior Fellow and Director of Graduate Programs. She oversees our Master of Science in Humanitarian Studies here at Fordham University. That's an in-person master's degree. And you actually you'll probably interact with some of our graduate students online. My name is Summer Lily Egan. I'm the communications officer for the IIHA. You'll definitely be in touch with me after the course so I can help share your experience with the MHCE and your story. I love getting to know students and alumni. So please don't hesitate to reach out. My wonderful colleague, Luciany de Leon, she is our program officer. She's also on the call. And she works with Mary Louise Santoli, the admissions counselor for the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, on admissions and answering application questions. And yeah, you'll probably be in touch with Luciany at some point, or maybe Mary Louise. Again, we're so happy to have you here today. And I'll hand the mic back over to Whitney. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lily. And we also have a fantastic team behind this course, the course that you're here to learn about, the Mental Health and Complex Emergencies course. Dr. Lynne Jones, who is with us today, she will take the mic in just a minute to explain a little bit more about the course. Lynne actually founded this course, and you'll hear more about the history of this course when she shares. Willem van de Put, Marcio Gagliato, Peter Vintervogel, Claire Whitney, and myself, we all will guide you through this semester-long course. I will be the coordinator and the lead interface with you all as students, and our fantastic skilled course instructors will be the main event, the main instructors of this course. So you will get to know them all from day one, and Lynne from today. So I will hand it over to Lynne to share a little bit about the history of the course and then some of the details of the course objectives, and I'll take it from
I
there.
just thought, actually, Whitney, would you put the previous slide back? Because I'm
Yeah.
sorry I can't hear you. So yeah, because I might be the oldest person on the course. Can you? But I'm certainly not the most eminent, and I'm very sorry my colleagues aren't here because they're just a brilliant bunch. I mean, there's Whitney, and she can introduce herself, but she's a professor. I think she's only one. Peter Ventervogel and Willem Willem was a co-founder with me. And what I love about Willem is he's not a psychiatrist. He is an anthropologist and many different things, and works all over the world, especially in Cambodia and Laos and places like that. Has such a knowledge of culture, human rights, different things. His units are so popular on the course. I hope they'll be mentioned in the feedback. Marcio joined us recently. I love the fact that we're globally scattered too. So Willem's in Holland. Marcio comes from Brazil. He is now the coordinator of the Interagency Standing Committee Reference Group for Mental Health and Psychosocial Support. What a long title. That pulls together UN, NGO, and other agencies across the world dealing with MHPSS. And he's completely brilliant and has been all over the world, working in so many different kinds of areas, including Ukraine, Gaza. He's just extraordinary. Claire is doing my job. Now, when I had my job, I invented my job with IMC in that a very nice woman said, I think we need someone to look at mental health. Would you like to join us? And I said, yes. That was in 2002. And she sent me to Iraq. And when I came back, she said, yeah, let's have programs in different countries. And so she said, you can be the senior mental health advisor. I said, great. But it took at least another 6 years to get one other person to work with me. Now, Claire just now runs a global team. There are regional advisors in the Middle East. I'm not sure where all the countries are, but I did it for 10 years. I did finally get a junior person, and it was Inka, and she took over, but now she's mental health at WHO and incredibly eminent. And Claire then took over from her and runs this IMC's global program, which is really big now. So she really is a frontline person. She knows so much. So we have an amazing team of teachers, and I'm so proud to be part of this team. So let's go on to the next slide. Giving you a little bit of history. Yeah, I mean, what happened is that the 1 month humanitarian course, I knew Larry Hollingsworth because we'd worked together in the Balkans. That will date you because half of you are probably not alive. Don't remember that there were wars in the Balkans for 5 years, in more than 5 years, if you include Kosovo, going through into the new 21st century. And Larry and I worked closely together. Larry was then UNHCR lead there, Larry Hollingworth. And he said, you better come and teach some mental health on our main Fordham course, which was 1 month humanitarian course. And first of all, they gave me an hour, and then they gave me a morning. And then Brendan rang me up one day and said, would you like a week? And this was, I think, in the middle of the tsunami response. I was working for IMC in Indonesia. And I said, okay. And we designed a course. I rang Willem because I knew him, and I knew I didn't want the course just to be like a clinical mental health course, but it had to address mental health in all its aspects. And mental health is a cross-cutting issue. And it doesn't matter if you're a shelter person building a shelter, or you're a water person delivering water, or your food, or whatever you're doing, you and the people you're working with are going to be impacted by mental health issues. And so understanding them and being able to deal with them seem to me absolutely crucial. Because one of the things I've seen in emergency after emergency is that the person that someone turns to, especially in crisis, isn't the counselor sitting in a tent, or isn't the, as I've seen, the rape crisis center. Can you imagine you're a woman who's raped, you're going to go along to that tent that says rape crisis center on it? I ask you. Or are you going to go to the PTSD tent? These were the kind of interventions we had in those days. You're not going to label yourself, however good the counselor sitting inside is. So one is, how is mental health presented? Two is, what kind of problems actually turn up? And three is, who is it people turn to for help? And they turn to the person who's giving out the food or giving out the water or putting up the shelter, saying, help, don't put that shelter up there. I can't live here. Do you know the people over there? I'm not safe. And the people dealing with these issues day after day need to understand mental health, as of course do the clinicians and psychologists, because if you, I was in Haiti and an American psychiatrist rings me up and says, I'm free, I've got a holiday coming up, you've just had an earthquake, I'll come over and help you. And I said, how long have you got? He said, 2 weeks. I said, could you tell me what is the fastest time you have ever spent in first understanding a person's problem and then actually treating it? And there was a sort of silence. And then I said, go on. He said, no, I suppose 6 weeks to 3 months. I said, so in the 2 weeks you're going to come to Haiti, do you think you'll really have time to help me? And he said, oh, maybe not. And, you know, it's just a whole attitude from very professional professors and high-up psychiatrists as to what it means to work in emergency and who could be the people that do it. So we teach what is mental health in a complex emergency, who can do it, what it means, what are frontline responses, what are long-term responses, does one need medication? And the lovely thing is, it's not a 1-week course anymore. And it's not a course for those who've got a lot of money to get on a plane to go to New York or Geneva. It's a global course that you can do sitting in your tent or your front room, as long as you've got internet access. Sorry about that. And you can do it in your own time. And how much time is it? Well, I'm very careful. We're all very careful in our units. The amount of material, including the live sessions, and yes, we have live sessions, but if you can't get to them, you can watch the recordings. The live sessions take about 2.5 hours. And the compulsory, the readings or exercises that we think you really need to cover for that topic take about 2.5 hours. So there is 5 hours work a week. Now, if you have 3 weeks of a frantic emergency and you can't do it, that's okay. There's time to do it later. But in order to get the certificate and do the MCQs that we see each week, you need to have done it. Whitney will remind me what the timeline is, but usually the course runs from August to December, and we like people to have completed by the end of January. Is that right?
Yeah, Lynn, and we've got a whole slide on this later, so I'll get to that.
Okay,
I'll
you'll
get to
come to
that
that.
later. So,
okay.
yeah.
So I've covered what the content. I want you to come back with questions. I've not put the syllabus up, but we do a really widespread course. It includes protection issues. It includes adult issues. It includes children's issues. It includes mental health interventions that are not psychiatric, that are non-clinical, okay? Because we, and I love the first line, though I didn't write this, develop capacity to deliver effective humanitarian mental health and psychosocial support activities, all right? In all sectors. And in order to do that, you really need to have a better understanding. And the first lecture I give on the course, and I have to change this lecture every year, and I will tell you it's getting more and more difficult because of the world we live in. My first unit is, what is an emergency and how do we make sense of this? And how do we make sense of the new non-rules-based order? And how is that affecting us? And yes, key clinical mental health issues, community and psychosocial responses, human rights, and their relationship to MHPSS. GBV and child focus programming is so important, as is the cross-cultural issues, as is your own security, because if you don't feel safe, you're not going to feel happy, and how you take care of yourself, even in dangerous environments. We cover all of these topics, and so far, I mean, the other reason I love doing this course is what astounds me is the people who turn up on it know so much already. There's space to share, there's space to make relationships with other people. And I've been doing this course for, oh God, it's 21 years because we missed a year. I have learned so much from my students. Every year I come away better informed and more knowledgeable. So thank you very much for your interest. I think I'll leave it at that and take questions. Have I left anything? Oh, my goodness. What's this bit? I did read all the slides in advance. Yes, I've explained the 5 hours per week, individual and group work. So we have a webinar and then we have a Thursday session where we get you into groups to discuss issues. And that's really fun. Okay. All the things I've mentioned here, cultural validity, conflict resolution and negotiation, yes. Essentials such as period security, logistics, yes, I've mentioned that. And the way we do the actual mental health work is both the issues, how do you deal with psychosis in the field? What about depression? And yes, we deal with trauma, of course, and therapeutic approaches. And yeah, I think I've covered it all. Just didn't do it where the slide laid it out, but I think I've covered it all, Whitney.
Perfect, Lynn. Thank you so much. We would now like to hand it over to a student, a former student who can speak to what Lynn has just shared in terms of his own experience. So Amitav Roy, please unmute yourself, and we'd love to hear a little bit about how the course was for you.
And by the way, Whitney, I've just noticed someone in the chat I'm from Sudan and currently alumni as well.
Oh, great.
I don't know who that is, but if they want to chip in as well, I'd love to hear from them.
Great. Let's Amitav, please, over to you, and then we can open it up for others.
Okay, thank you. This is Amitav Roy, alumni of MSc course 21, and and I'm working in Bangladesh. I'm Bangladeshi as a humanitarian MS Spaces professional and researcher. Now working here in Cox's Bazar. I highly appreciate this opportunity to share my experience with you. I am truly grateful to have completed the MSc course offered by Fordham University, and and also grateful to global experts like Peter, Claire, Marcio, John Lynne Jones, William, and Whitney. This course has been a transformative learning experience for me, both professionally and personally. Coming from a humanitarian MS Spaces background, the course helped me deepen my understanding of how to design, integrate, and scale MS Spaces interventions. What I appreciated most was the strong balance between theory and practical application, especially in areas like community-based programming, coordination, clinical intervention, and meal frameworks. The course structure combining live sessions, interactive discussions, and real-world case sharing created a rich learning environment. Learning from peer working groups in diverse humanitarian context added immense value to my work experience. It also strengthened my ability to critically reflect on cultural relevance, ethical challenges, right-based approaches in MS Spaces programming. One of the most impactful aspects was how the course emphasized integrating MS Spaces across sectors, including health, protection, education, livelihood, and nutrition. Basically, I am working in the nutrition sector here in Cox's Bazar about 4 years, and this will be valued in my work experience. Which is I now feel more confident in contributing coordinated evidence informed and context sensitive humanitarian responses. Overall, MSc has not only enhanced my technical skills but also reinforced my commitment to serving vulnerable populations with compassion, accountability, professionalism. I would highly recommend this course to anyone working in nutrition or medical fields. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amitav, for that testimonial. Thank you so much for your words and overwhelming interest and how the course has really helped you move forward in your career. Amitav mentioned a couple of things that I'm really grateful for, that was your experience. One of the things that we really hope to achieve in this course is high participation and high engagement, and that the students themselves work with each other, share experiences. Lynne shared this as well in her time, is how student experiences can help all of us grow. And so we have very intentionally carved out time for small group work and discussions, and I will share a little bit more about that on this slide. So Lynne touched on this a little bit in terms of how the course is structured. So we meet on Monday for 1 hour and a half. This is in Eastern time, New York time, from 12 to 1:30. It's a lecture every week, and it will be recorded and posted on Blackboard if you're unable to attend. So while the course is, it's set up to attend the courses live, it is not required. You can listen to the recordings later if you're in a time zone that makes that really difficult for you to attend live. So there is a live session on Monday from 12 to 1:30, and then on Thursday we have 2 options for live sessions. You can attend one of those, either 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern or 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern. And while the Monday session is a course lecture, the Thursday session is discussion. So there's often breakout groups, prompts from the course director, from the instructor that led that unit, and real engagement, real interaction with your colleagues on the call in the session. And then we come back and unpack that and think about, sometimes those are case studies or practical examples. How might we respond to this or that, or what do we think about that, or how have we experienced this so far, and how might we engage with some new learnings from our MHPSS from the course itself thus far that we want to include or apply. So as you see on the left, there's a lot of content on this slide. On the left, as I mentioned, it's preferred to be a synchronous course where you attend lecture and discussion each week. That's so that you can really connect with your colleagues, both the instructors and the participants in the course in real time. But it's not required. What is required is that there is an element of engagement on our online Blackboard class, or Blackboard, the scaffolding online, which is called Blackboard. All of the required readings and optional readings and videos are on this platform called Blackboard, and it is required that you review some of those readings. We'll specify in the Blackboard presentation what is required and what is optional. And then after each week, after each unit, there is a multiple choice quiz, usually 10 questions, pretty straightforward, and is a real link to the required readings. So if you do the readings, the quiz will be super easy. But the reason we do that is just to track everyone's progress and to make sure that everyone is sort of following along with us. There is a lot of content to be covered and a lot of information, a lot of very interesting information that is disseminated through the instructors. And we just want to make sure that you're keeping up with things. And otherwise, we will reach out to you and see if there's anything we can do to help. I am always available to connect on a synchronous call, or we can email. And for the master's students, those who are completing the Mental Health and Complex Emergencies course for credit, there is an additional assignment for those students, and that will all be in the syllabus, the exact requirements there. But they have a particular course project that will be assigned. But for those of you taking it for certificate, the quizzes is how we measure progress. And then here at the bottom, the asynchronous optional is, as I mentioned, there are optional readings. If you want to do a deep dive in a particular subject matter or unit, but you maybe don't have time to read optionals for all of them, you can choose. You can pick and choose, and you can download and save them for later. They are there for your learning and for your growth. And then finally, we have on Blackboard also discussion questions that we encourage participants to engage in. Those are also optional. So the discussion questions will be in a separate segment on Blackboard. The question will be related to the unit that we are working through that week. And it's just a way for us to engage with one another. When have you participated in something like this? How did it go? What was your experience? What would you recommend? How would you do that differently next time? How are you incorporating the learnings from this week into your current work and practice? And that way there's a lot of opportunities for replying to one another and to ask follow-up questions. It's especially useful for those who aren't able to attend the lectures or the discussions so that they can still be a part of and have a touch point with everyone. So Lynn mentioned this as well. We've done our best to keep the requirement in terms of time to 5 hours per week. So that's if you attend the Monday and Thursday lecture and discussion sessions, plus engage in the reading that's required, we believe that's approximately 5 hours. Obviously, everyone reads at a different pace, and people want to put in different amounts of time based on interest and how you would hope to apply this to your work. But that's for you all to gauge whether or not you have time for this course. That's sort of what we've allotted. And again, you can download the readings. Those are optional and read them at another time once you have a little bit more time. So we would like to open it up for questions now, and I will stop sharing my screen. We'll bring the screen share back up for final contact details and some logistical notes, but would love to hear. Please unmute yourself and show your video if you'd like. We'd love to get to know you. If you have a question, you can voice it aloud. I see that there's a question in the chat. In past courses, what's the split between students joining live versus asynchronous? Last semester,
There are about 40 students
yeah,
at least in every live.
I
In
think
every
that's,
live lecture, there was a minimum of 40 students, sometimes 60. The Thursday sessions, because there were two, they tended, I mean, I did small groups and we tended to have 6 groups in each. So
mhm,
I think we had about 25 usually in
I think
the
that's
Thursday
right.
sessions. Isn't
Yeah,
that right?
that's right. Last semester, we had about 75 students total in the course. And so, as Lynn mentioned, about approximately 40 would attend the Monday lecture.
Yeah.
So, just over half. But as we said, you get the most benefit when you're there and you can engage and ask your specific questions to the instructors and to one another. But it is possible to do it asynchronous. Other questions? Thank you for that. Thank you for that one.
And if our colleague from Sudan, who's an alumni, wants to say anything, also, you don't have to have a question. If you want to comment,
Mhm.
love to hear, as you've taken the trouble to join us, which is very kind of you.
Yeah,
Did you
I
have any
think,
comments?
sorry, Lynn, I think they did the IDHA program.
Oh,
Mhm.
right. They didn't do the MHCE.
Mhm.
I got it. Right.
Yeah,
Sorry, my
but
mistake.
very happy to have them on the call and welcome back
Lovely.
to the
No, my mistake.
community.
My mistake. I thought it
No
was.
worries. It would be very valuable to have them in the
Mhm.
course.
Mhm. Any other questions about how to apply, how to register, or thank you, Lily. There we are. So there's more information about IIHA and there's follow-on links of how to register. Feel free to reach out to us directly. But any other questions about the course, fees for international students? Luciany, do you want to share a little bit about the payment component, the tuition component?
Hello, everyone. So there are two different tuitions. It really depends on whether or not you're intending to take the course for credit. Most students do take the course for no credit. That for credit is mostly for students who are maybe in the MS program or intending to enroll in a higher education degree. It's 990 and you pay once you apply, once you get admitted in order to secure your seat. And the only requirement for the application itself is a resume, it's a cover letter. But if you are intending to take the course for credit, the cost is whatever the cost is per credit for the graduate school, and you would need to upload an official transcript.
Thank you, Luciany. Great. Yes, you're welcome. Other questions maybe about the content or, okay, scholarships for certificate. Luciany, over to you.
So,
Hey,
sorry? Hello?
I think, Alice, did you also have a question? Did you unmute? Okay. Go ahead, Luciany. I think that's, yeah.
Scholarships are funded by the CIHC and they're very, very limited. You can only request a scholarship once you've been admitted. Once you've been admitted into the program, all you have to do is email the IIHA at fordham.edu email requesting a scholarship. But as I said, they're very, very limited. So I recommend getting in your application as soon as possible. And then once admitted, if admitted, you email the IIHA email, which I will type into the chat.
And in the older days, some agencies would fund people who are part of their agency to attend. So if you work for a humanitarian NGO or whatever, and tell them about the course and how much you'll bring to the agency by doing the course, you might be able to persuade the bigger NGOs to fund you to attend. So I recommend exploring that avenue if you're thinking of applying.
Yes, I definitely agree with Lynn. I would recommend first checking in with your employer to see if they would cover the course cost, just because since scholarships are very limited,
Yeah.
to allow the possibility for as many people to join the course as possible.
And maybe, Luciany, sorry if you've said this already, but is there a deadline? Maybe we can communicate the timeline for a registration application.
Yes, there is a deadline. Give me 1 second. I don't have it off of the top of my head, but the semester usually begins towards the end of August, so the deadline is usually 2 weeks before that. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, the first date, I believe, is August 27th. The first course, the orientation for the course, the first class, rather, will be on August 27th, I believe. So registration, Luciany, will be...
The deadline is August 12th. So that is the last day that you can get your application in. And yes, as I mentioned, it's best to just get all the material in as soon as possible. If you would like to be considered for any financial assistance. And just in general, since there is a process for registration, even if your employer will be sponsoring you or you will be sponsoring yourself, it's always best to get this done sooner rather than later.
So 2 questions in the chat.
Yeah.
There's no plans at the moment to have a live version of this course. I'm not sure how we would do it live now because it's grown so much from what it was. And also we realize that the engagement of, last year we had people from Gaza, people from Sudan, people from Myanmar, people who really could not have traveled but were attending the course. And we really welcome them and want to support them in the context in which they're working. So with this course, sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, Lynn.
It won't go live, but we are trying to develop micro courses, which I hope might be small courses attached to longer. So, there's going to be a live course in South Africa. Lily can tell you which one it is. I can't remember, but maybe we would attach a mini MHC or a child version is my dream. So there are possibilities of live courses, but not the core course. Regarding,
sorry, if I can just say one more thing about that question. We would love to, as the micro course concept, to maybe do a deep dive in a particular course and perhaps
Yeah.
create multiples so that there could be this would be the first in line, the semester-long MHCE course, followed by a deep dive, as Lynn mentioned, in child-focused MHCE or something else, so that someone could continue in their learning journey. It would follow on sequentially like that. So, but we would love to know if there's interest also. And so if that's of interest to you, please reach out to us directly. The more that we know that there would be interest, and the more quickly we could put something like that together.
And then there's the real case, and we certainly, almost all our teaching is based around real life cases. If that's what you mean. I mean, I have lots of cases. I mean, I teach through storytelling, but certainly in all the units, people are drawing on real experience, because what I like about the faculty is that they're enormously experienced. But, for example, the other thing, in the substance abuse unit last year, I remember they brought in a real expert who himself had lived experience and then was part of these kind of self-help movement, as far as I remember. I may have got that wrong, but he was a very powerful speaker. So it's not just us six teaching, it's people who have real experience in the field joining the faculty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for those questions. There's a question about being an implementing partner to UNHCR. Are they part of the sponsors, so I can discuss the possibility of them helping out? UNHCR, we do have one of our course directors who is with UNHCR, and I know that UNHCR historically has sponsored students who are directly employed by the agency. I'm not sure how that decision is made. I don't know if implementing partners would qualify, but it certainly wouldn't hurt to ask. So
there's no harm in asking. I know IMC's budget last year was 75% less because of USAID cuts. So whereas in the past I'd have said, go to IMC and UNHCR, the funding situation is just dire now. So we don't want to make any promises on their behalf.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
that's right.
Definitely, if you're a member of any agency, I see the crying face, I'm sorry about this. If you're a member of any agency, not just UNHCR or IMC, do go and point out the benefits of you attending this course. It's an $1,000 investment and a massive return that your agency might choose to make.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just making sure we've gotten all these questions. So online or in person, real case scenarios. I believe Lynn touched on that. Funding UNHCR. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Well, here are some contact details for those of us who you've heard from on the call. Almost all of us have been on the call, but certainly reach out to me if you have any questions about the content, the course itself. Luciany for registration, application, tuition questions. Lily for more details of how the course is disseminated and any ways to get on our newsletter or to learn more about course offerings to the IIHA. So we're so pleased that you all chose to spend an hour with us today, or just shy of an hour. Thank you so much. And if you have some more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat or stay on. Otherwise, we will wrap up. So a big thank you. Thank you. And we hope to see you in August. We hope that you all choose to register and to attend the course. Thank you so much.